I want to adopt my sister after my dad's death. My wife refused because we agreed on no children. Is there a way to fix this? I, 28M, have been married to my wife, 28F, for 2 years. We do not have kids, and we do not plan to. I have a little sister, 11F. Due to the age gap, I am more like another father than a brother. My father passed away from pancreatic cancer. There are 2 options for my sister. Either I take her in, or my uncle, Dad's brother. So we asked her who she wanted, and she chose me. Here is the problem. My wife and I decided that we did not want kids. So she does not want to adopt my sister, especially since my uncle can. But my sister has no parents now, and I want to make sure she is able to recover and be healthy. And since she wants to be with me, I will not force her to be with our uncle. This is causing a lot of tension with my wife. Things escalated, and finally told her I'm doing this whether she agrees or not. She can either accept it or we get divorced. We have not talked since then. What I can do in such situation? TLDR, Dad died. I will adopt my sister. My wife does not want that. Tension is rising with my wife. I talked with my wife again. She still refused as she does not want kids. So we basically decided to go our separate ways. She said, "You really are choosing your sister over me." I told her, I do not want to go into this discussion again, but if that's what you want to hear, then fine. Yes, my sister takes the priority now. I am choosing her over you. This was our last conversation. I've been living with my sister for 1 week now. Being a single fatherish brother is definitely challenging, but I am really enjoying it. TLDR, I got separated from my wife. I'm taking care of my sister.
An important takeaway from this mess. If you have a child, you must have a will, and you should absolutely make arrangements about who takes guardianship of your child in the event of your death after having serious conversations with these people. It may seem morbid, but it is so important. Edit. Also update these arrangements regularly as people's circumstances change and the needs of children change as they age.
I think it worked out for the best. My father died when I was 14 to cancer, and my oldest half-sister, she's 21 years older than me, took me in, and it was obvious she didn't want me there. Some of the rules were no hugging or showing of affection from anyone toward me. She had a son who was 11. He needed all the affection, so none was left for me. I wasn't allowed to go on vacation with them because I wasn't family. I wasn't allowed to spend weekends with them because that was family time and I wasn't family, etc. I ran away when I was 15, and she nor her husband ever reported me missing. A month after I disappeared, my best friend's parents reported me missing. I was brought back, and my sister refused to pick me up because the money she was receiving from me had stopped since I was no longer there. I told my story to explain this. It is better to not be forced upon somebody who doesn't want you, especially after losing your only parent. I'm thankful the sister has OP who loves her so much, but I'm also thankful his wife removed herself. The sister is going to need all the help and love she can get to make it through this devastating time, and the resentment she would have felt from the wife would have only made things so much worse.
A lot of people, men as well as women, do not want to parent a child. Period. If OP's soon-to-be ex-wife stayed in the relationship, she probably would have been an awful alternative to a mother, making everyone miserable, and losing the relationship anyway while permanently scaring the child. Going your separate ways now is all for the best. I wish them all good luck.
How is her husband not selfish for unilaterally making decisions regarding the emotional and financial future of his wife? It's not like he can move his sister into their home and it's all on him. He's made a choice that directly involves his wife and has done so in a controlling manner. There is nothing selfish about wanting to make decisions regarding your own life. There is nothing selfish about her not wanting the responsibility for a child she didn't create.
Probably for the best. We're child-free too, and this would be a deal breaker for me, I think. I'd rather separate from my partner than live with a child, even if that child needed my partner. That would be on me to leave.
Sad situation, but best outcome.
It was a good idea for OP and his ex to separate here. Frankly, kids are a lot of work, especially kids that lost their parents and probably have some trauma related to that to unpack. OP's ex knew her limits, knew that she wouldn't be able to handle the responsibility, and reacted accordingly. OP had been on board with being child-free, but this is a situation that you can't really plan for. He didn't expect his kid sister to be orphaned, and was ready to step in. A sad situation, but unavoidable. So many people fighting over this one in the comments. You can think what you want, but I'm not particularly inclined to think someone's a terrible person because they don't want kids and stick to that.
Adopting a kid isn't a short-term selfless act. It's agreeing to be selfless for time on the span of years. For the 11-year-old, that's 7 years minimum. 7 years of giving up on your dreams, hamstringing your income, changing your lifestyle to accommodate someone who requires your conscious effort to survive. That's a massive ask, a gargantuan ask. Her husband did, in fact, choose his little sister over her. Was that the right choice for him? Maybe, debatable. But what it definitely wasn't was the right choice for her or the right choice for their marriage. I also wonder, can he afford to support her on his own? Generally, a child-free marriage indicates both spouses work. Will he have a house after this? Divorce is often a large financial burden, in addition to losing the income of a working spouse. I don't know his situation, but it almost sounds like he wants advice on how to force his wife into this decision, because he likely can't afford it himself. Even if he can, he will be tied down by that child for the next 7 years with no co-parent. It's going to be rough.
And a kid shouldn't have to deal with an adult in the house who wants nothing to do with them. It's demoralizing.
This is what can happen in the 21st century instead of the evil stepmother trope. Those women in those movies just didn't want kids.
Agreed. I don't think most people involved acted entirely right, but overall they all are doing their best.
OP should have spoken with his wife before promising his sister, especially considering this wasn't a surprise. Even having a preparatory discussion would have been better. It sounds like OP might not have been entirely reasonable in their conversations about it, which is probably due to emotions, but even if understandable, still doesn't improve things. OP's wife shouldn't have made the comment about choosing. Again, understandable given the likely emotions and situation, but not helping the situation. The entire family should have had some long-term plan in place. Sadly, many don't for a variety of reasons. The sister is the only one who likely did nothing wrong, but I don't think anyone who did things wrong were malevolent or awful people. OP. Taking care of his sister is understandable and respectable. Hopefully he is able to do so long-term, especially if he was planning on his wife's assistance. OP's wife seems truly child-free and knows her limits. If she doesn't think she can properly care for the child, it's right for her to leave. It's much better to do so now than hurt OP's sister by not being a mother figure coming to resent her, etc., and then leave.
I mean, at the end of the day, it's a sucky situation, but they're definitely not an awful person for sticking with their guns. If they'd buckled and said, "Oh, sure," then say hello to a toxic marriage where resentment, regret, and quietly smoldering anger turn the house into a hellhole of stress that's not good for anyone. Especially the kid who might think it's their fault that mom and dad hate each other now. But the wife/ex-wife is totally not at fault either. She didn't want kids. She didn't do anything to ask for the responsibility of taking care of a child, much less someone else's child. I'm not looking down at the comments, but I'm sure some folks are demonizing her, and if I had to take a wild stab at it, I'll bet there's some misogynist. It's a woman's duty to take care of children crap down there. There always is. Like for real, she's not at fault. No one is. It just is what it is. She's not obligated to suddenly adopt a kid just because it's his husband's kid sister. Life just created a scenario in which there was no workable solution for everyone involved. It turned out for the best, as much as it sucks. Sometimes the best option still sucks a lot.